Welcome to the Fantasy League Coverage Network, presented to you by the people over at the Eye Test. I'm your host, Mark Coles, and I'm here with my co-host, Shawn Williams. And tonight we will be filming the continuation of the 2021 Fantasy Football Trash Player League Draft. And this will begin with round 3. With that being said, let's get into it.
It's the Trash Player League. Let's get it.
His next pick is Justin Jefferson. Okay? Do you know, and I like that pick at that spot. It's a good pick.
All right.
You know who gets picked right after that?
No, I did not.
Charles comes back on the backside and picks Darren Waller after that. You mean to tell me you could have had Christian McCaffrey, Justin Jefferson, and Darren Waller on your team? And instead, you chose Justin Jefferson and Lamar Jackson. Mark, this is my problem. It is right in front of me right here. Like, are you kidding me? Justin Jefferson, Darren Waller was there. Keenan Allen was there. Terry McLaurin was there. Hey, Mark, he could have had Christian McCaffrey and 2 stud wide receivers.
Yeah.
That would have been a difficult thing to deal with. I am so glad that he took Lamar Jackson. I'm so glad that he did, Mark. This really could have been ugly for us. Like, usually the first pick doesn't really work out that way. Everything fell to him right there in his lap, and he decided to take Lamar Jackson. I'm saying, those names, Justin Jefferson, Terry McLaurin, Keenan Allen, and Allen Roberts, like, the target monsters. Like, I just don't understand why you would take people are still trying to capture that second season. You know what I mean? People think that they're going to capture that with Lamar Jackson, and I just don't see it happening.
Right. So next up, we had Darren Waller, and like you said, we've already spoken about Darren Waller, the target monster that he is. This was an excellent pick by Charles because he's definitely going to get more points than Allen Robinson in my opinion.
146 targets last year, Mark.
Right.
107 receptions, more than most wide receivers.
And that wide receiving core essentially stayed the same. So that means he's still going to be the same.
He doesn't have any competition there, Mark.
No, he doesn't. Allen Robinson went next to Rodney. How do you feel about that?
Allen Robinson is not somebody I would have taken over Keenan Allen and Terry McLaurin. My problem is I just don't believe in the Bears offense. I don't give a fuck who's the quarterback. I just don't believe in Matt Nagy. Like, I just don't believe in him. You know what I'm saying? So I don't believe in the Bears offense. And just to be clear, he had 151 targets last year, 6 touchdowns.
But Allen Robinson is a better version of Dalvin Cook. I mean, not Dalvin Cook, Brandon Cooks. Like, Allen
Robinson. He's always open, but the problem is who's delivering the ball.
Right.
Do you think he's going to get these touchdowns with Andy Dalton that he couldn't get with Nick Foles in what's his name?
Yeah. Now,
like, I don't know. Like,
when I say that Allen Robinson is a better version of Brandon Cooks, I want to be clear. I'm not talking about skill set. I'm talking about in fantasy. Brandon Cooks is a guy that, like, magically always gives you points. Like, he's all like it seems like he didn't do shit all year, but then you look back at it and you're like, he was giving me 15 points a game, like, all year. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, he was super consistent. Yeah. And Allen Robinson is that same type of player in fantasy. Super consistent. It's not flashy, and he's not going to give you 30-point game a lot or anything like that.
Yeah.
But super consistent.
The way I would describe it is he's a high floor, low ceiling kind of guy. And if that's what you're looking for, then that's he's perfect for that. But he's a high floor, low ceiling. I don't like that early. That's not what I like. But with that said, I don't like him being picked over the guys that are still on the board.
Well, next up is Keenan Allen by Darius. My only thing that I could possibly say about this pick is the fact that Keenan Allen is another year older, and Mike Williams is on his heels.
He's on him.
Yeah. So the problem with Mike Williams is that Mike Williams is a younger version of Keenan Allen. Like, they're the same type of player. Like, Keenan Allen's hands might be better. Like, but
Mike is getting there though. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like,
yeah. But as far as stretching the field and the route running, they're the same. And so, how much longer can Keenan fend off the Young Bucks from taking over? We don't know. So that's my only issue. But
that's the only my issue is we know what his injury history is like. He's been pretty okay-ish for the last few years. Yes. He hasn't been. No.
He has, as far as that. He's proven that injury-prone stuff is for him.
He's a couple years removed from it.
Yes,
Mark. I'm always going to be concerned about it. But
Sharice is up next, and here was a homer pick by Sharice. She takes Terry McLaurin. Do I have a problem with Terry McLaurin? Yes, I do.
Whoa, why you got a problem? You going to call it a homer pick, Mark?
Huh?
Are you going to call it a homer pick?
Well, it is a homer pick. We know that. We know that.
Terry's nice, though.
Now, you can say Terry's nice, and that's great. That's fantastic. I get that. But we've just talked about their quarterback situation over there in Washington and the uncertainty of it. We also know who is the head coach and how he likes to run things, and it's through the run game as well. This is also a fantasy football team that is in round 3 with no running backs.
Mark, tell me a running back that she should have taken over Terry McLaurin.
Chris Carson.
That's a valid.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I don't like his health problems, but I guess you could have taken Chris Carson. But once again, you have to sacrifice something, Mark. You took a quarterback earlier. You got to sacrifice something. Okay, so this is what I'll say about Terry McLaurin. I disagree with you with his potential this year. I've been watching Terry McLaurin play with guys that don't throw down the field and can't throw down the field, and still watching them pull off 1,100, 1,200 yard seasons, Mark. He now has a quarterback that is going to be starting that can throw down the field and enjoys it. He wasn't able, you're right, he wasn't able to get the touchdowns before because of the lack of ability with the quarterbacks that he's had. Alex Smith is not known for throwing deep ball touchdowns. They're going to be a little short. You're going to have to readjust. You're going to get tackled afterwards. With a guy like Fitzpatrick throwing the ball to him, he should be able to get more than the 6 touchdowns he got last year. 6. That's embarrassing that he got 6. That shows you the type of quarterback play. But it is Ron Rivera. If he better be getting those touchdowns on those long plays, because there's a 0% chance he's getting the ball in the red zone. So, yes, slight concern, but I feel like Terry McLaurin is a good pick here.
Okay. Next up, we have Ricky. And Ricky took Amari Cooper here. I don't want to speak on it. 2 things. I don't like Amari Cooper, and I don't like the Cowboys. So
you're just going to be biased. Okay.
No, listen. How do you feel about Amari Cooper over Cooper Kupp, Robert Woods?
I feel like it's close. Me personally, I wouldn't have taken Amari Cooper over Cooper Kupp or Robert Woods. As much as it pains me, I would take Robert Woods over Cooper Kupp just because the way that they treat Cooper Kupp within the offense. But I obviously think Cooper Kupp is better. But no, like
Cooper Kupp is funny because Robert Woods gets more targets, but at the end of the year, Cooper Kupp always ends up leading in the stats. So
I just can't. I'm never going to understand that. But yes, I understand what you're saying. I'd rather have a situation where there's less mouths to feed.
Understood.
There's way too many mouths to feed in Dallas, and I don't like that.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of why I brought up a similar situation in the Rams, because the Rams have quite a few mouths to feed over there as well.
They do, but they throw like we're talking about Amari Cooper, Gallup, CD Lamb. I think his name is Connor Darwin. You know what I'm saying? They still have Schultz, so they might do a little too tight end. And you still expect Zeke to catch balls. Like they got like 6 guys that got to feed. The Rams are probably going to reduce it to 4. Right. So I'd rather, like you say, it's still less than what the Cowboys are trying to do. So no, I personally would take the team with less mouths to feed.
Okay.
And there's a clear hierarchy there. You got 2 guys that are getting a majority of the targets, and then everybody else.
Yep. At pick number 3, for Benny. Again, he's on auto. The computer took A.J. Brown. I feel as though this is probably a bit of a steal.
Yes, I think it's a little bit of a steal, but also he's had some minor surgeries on his knees in off season that he wasn't able to do a full camp, all this stuff. So like, considering all things considered, I don't know if it's that much of a steal, but I do like this pick at this point in the draft.
Right. So next is Mark. And as you can see, Mark had this queued up and ready because this pick took all of 7 seconds to happen. James Robinson. I made this pick here largely because, again, it was a twofold reason. James Robinson was going to be the guy I was going to take here regardless if he was available. But it also helped that I was like, well, Shawn, I was like, everybody else has at least one running back behind him. Shawn has 2 wide receivers. And I was like, so I was like, if there's anybody that's going to take him, it has to be Shawn. And I was like, so I can't depend on him being available in the 4th. So I took him now. You have anything to say?
Yeah, so James Robinson was he's somebody that I would have taken. And to be honest with you, Mark, I didn't even realize you took him because I don't know if I didn't watch it. I was still looking through stuff because my pick was coming up. Mm-hmm. I was looking, I already had him in my queue. He was one of the people I had in my queue, and I was looking through running backs and all this other stuff. Then my turn comes up. I go back to my queue. He's no longer there. I'm like, who the fuck took him? I look at, and it's like Mark just took him. I'm like, okay, cool. That made my pick a little bit easier. Because then I was like, well, I can pick out a turn here. And I was like, I see George Kittle. I see Kyle Pitts. I was looking. I didn't even realize that, what's his name, was off the board. The other Kelsey, I didn't realize he was off the board. I was looking for him. He was gone. And I was like, you know what? Before I take a tight end, let me see if there's another wide receiver. I was like, let me look. So I was looking again, and I was looking at running backs, and I was like, damn, this man took the one running back that I would have taken at this point. So I was like, you know what? I'm just going to go tight end. I'm going to take another stud. So that's what happened. I mean, that's what kind of forced me into that position, because I definitely was looking for another running back. I did not want to take Chris Carson. I did not want to take him because like I said, Seattle can't make up their mind whether they want to be a passing team, running team, and then Chris Carson gets hurt every year. He doesn't. Sometimes he's involved in a passing game, sometimes he's not. There's just way too many question marks with Chris Carson.
This pick really was messing you up. It's all the way down to the 32nd mark.
No, when I tell you I was looking for a running back, Mark, I'm not lying. I was looking for a running back.
Yeah.
I was looking for a running back. I couldn't find one. I couldn't find one that I liked.
So here you took George Kittle. I was surprised by that. But after, I was like, makes sense. So I was like, yeah. It's a good pick. I was like, but I was surprised that you didn't find a running back that you wanted to take.
I told myself going into the draft that I would not reach for a running back just to have one. You really threw a wrench in my plans, but it worked out because George Kittle was still on the board.
Yep. Okay. So next is Tobias, Chris Godwin. Let me ask you, Shawn. Where do you think Chris Godwin is going to be in the pecking order of receivers for the Bucs?
There's one guy, and then there's everybody else. Gronk was there. He's still 8. You got Gronk and Julian Edelman, and that's it. I'm telling you right now, his Gronk and his Julian Edelman are Mike Evans and Antonio Brown. That's what I see, Mark. And I see Chris Godwin being not completely phased out, but he's going to be relegated to a less than 1,000-yard season with around 6 touchdowns.
So, yeah, with that, so I don't understand why the hell he was the first Buck to come off.
It's almost as if they didn't see his season last year. Like if you were going off of 2 seasons ago, you're like, yeah, that's a great pick. But it's almost as if they didn't see what happened last year, man. Like, he clearly went to the bottom of the pecking order.
Yeah.
Shit, I don't even there was games where I saw Leonard Fournette come in and get more catches.
Yo, and here's another problem is that now that
Giovanni Bernard's on the team.
Exactly.
Like, what do you think is going to happen here, man? This is a Tom Brady team. You're not he's going to spread the ball around. Everybody's going to eat. And then he has the guys he goes to when he needs the yards. Chris Godwin is not going to be one of those guys, so therefore, I don't like this pick.
Next up, Cedric had pick number 3. He took Chris Carson. He took 3 running backs here. That was my only surprise. I don't hate these picks. It's just he took 3 running backs, but I understand it because why not get 3 good running backs over getting a wide receiver where at this point all the wide receivers are relatively around the same level and there's quite a few of them.
Yeah, and I will say, and he's got the snake coming right back around.
Right.
So it's just one person in between him. So it's not a problem. And Chris Carson probably would have been taken by coach on that back end, I believe. So,
right. Tyler Lockett was taken by coach here, and then we had Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Do you have a problem with either one of those picks?
I like the Tyler Lockett pick. He's another guy though that
he always disappears at the second half of the season. That's a bit inconsistent.
And
second half of the season, he disappears every year.
Look, man, I like it because Tyler Lockett he is a guy that will give you a couple of 30-point games, okay? He will. The problem I have is DK has shown to have an effect on Tyler Lockett's down the field targets. That's my problem with Tyler Lockett here. But he's going for his 3rd and his 4th pick. I don't have a problem. I mean, would it make you feel better if he took Edwards-Helaire first for that? It doesn't matter. He got back-to-back picks. So I just look at it as, would you take him in the 4th? I would take Tyler Lockett in the 4th. So I do feel like that that pick is, I don't know if I would have taken Tyler Lockett, but I don't have any problems with that. I have a problem with the Clyde Edwards-Helaire pick. But now this is what happens when you're reaching for a running back because you need one. And this is what I didn't want to do, Mark. So you take Tyler Lockett and you take Edwards-Helaire. To be honest with you, like, you could have gotten Tyler Lockett later. Maybe not, but you could get somebody close to what the production he's going to give you. You might not have the boom factor, but the floor factor is still there. Like, you know what I mean? Like, so, I mean, I don't know, man. This would have been a window where if you wanted to get risky and say, I'm going to jump out the window for a quarterback, here's a point where you should have taken a running back, maybe, and then taken a quarterback afterwards. But all in all, Edwards-Helaire is one of the best running backs available. So what can you say?
Cedric is next. He takes Kyle Pitts. He takes a tight end at 4. I think that was a bit of a reach. I don't hate Kyle Pitts. I mean, he's a freak, and like we said already, there's going to be a lot of opportunities. I just think that at 4, it's a bit of a reach. But I think he would have been taken at 5, and you being on the back end of 5, you have, if you really wanted
to get your guy.
Yeah, if you really wanted them, then this
he wouldn't have been there. He wouldn't have been there on the back end. And I'm gonna tell you right now, I was going to take Kyle Pitts as my flex. I was gonna run 2 tight ends, Mark, if Kyle Pitts was still there. So yes, Mark, he would not have made it back. It would have looked crazy, but I would have taken Kyle Pitts. So I have to disagree with you with the reach. I personally think, from what I've seen in the preseason,
like I said, it's a reach to me only because.
Oh, because it's in the 4th. Okay, well, what I would say is this.
But like, going to get your guy, like, I understand why it happened.
Like, yeah, but let me put it this way. I feel like Kyle Pitts is going to be in the same conversation as these other 3 guys. He's going to be in that same conversation with Kelsey, Kittle, and Darren Waller. Is it likely? If you go back in history, it's not very likely. Rookie tight ends do not do those numbers. But the way that I've seen them use Kyle Pitts in the preseason, they're having them do block it. His first play was a block and release to the flats, almost like a screen, you know. And they toss it to him, and it's a play where he should have gotten 10 to 12 yards, and he ended up taking it for 27 just because of his athleticism and speed. If they're going to be using him like that, or in non-traditional tight end plays, and if they're going to be using him in a way to where they just get him in open space and let him work, that means he will see a lot of targets, and that means that he will get, you know, he will get his numbers, even if he doesn't get touchdowns. That's what I'm looking at. I like Kyle Pitts at that point. That's the reason why I was going to take him, because I believe that in this offense with Atlanta, we've seen it with Austin Hooper. We've seen it with Hayden Hurst. We've seen it with these guys. Kyle Pitts is going to get his targets. That's what I believe. I think it's a great pick at that spot.
All right, excellent. All right, and now we're going to take a second just to cut away from the draft, because this next pick I want to address, and I want to be taken seriously, and I want to focus in. So in this next pick by Tobias, he takes Mike Evans. I have nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong with taking Mike Evans in the 4th. Mike Evans is an excellent player. Mike Evans is a go-get-it type of guy. I love him as a player. I think he is the type of guy that will win just about every 50-50 ball that is available to him. My only problem is that, do you, as a owner of a football team and as an owner of a fantasy football team, think that you have the best chances when your first wide receiver and your second wide receiver came from the same exact team? Do you feel as though that's a recipe for some good gumbo? Do you think you're mixing up your spices right? Like, I'm trying to understand, like, do you think you got the right ingredients for a good meal when you got two receivers from the same damn team?
Let me know when you're done cooking, Mark. Let me know when you're done cooking.
Because I'm trying to understand. I'm honestly trying to understand, man. Like, God damn it. Help me understand you, brother.
Hey, we're not starting with no table slams already, man. Look, okay. I think this is a perfect time for me to jump in. This is what I will say. Look, maybe he believes like they're going to be Anquan Bolden and Larry Fitzgerald of the old Cardinals with Kurt Warner. Maybe he feels like Tom Brady is about to throw for 5,000 yards, and these are going to be the two guys that are going to eat the most. If he believes that, then he might say, hey, both of them can end up with 1,200 yards. Both of them can end up with over 10 touchdowns. Maybe that's what he believes, Mark. So maybe you're being a little too hard on him.
Except for, again, we talked about the other mouths that are there to feed.
Look, I just, Mark.
Let me ask you, Shawn. Let me ask you.
What's up?
We already talked about it. We said that we know where his favorite spot to throw. Everybody knows this. I mean, if you ever watch football a day in your life, you know where his favorite spot to throw to is. It's the slot.
Slot receiver. You right.
Neither one of these players play in the slot.
Mark, man. So it's still a Bruce. Is it still not a Bruce Arians offense?
And we saw how
it's kind of a hybrid. I get, it's kind of a hybrid, I guess, but I mean, I guess the big question is, do you think they're going to do, because they kind of split it last year. You think this year they're going to do more of what Tom Brady wants to do or more of what Bruce Arians wants to do?
I think you're seeing how what Tom Brady wanted to do is how the offense was ran in the Super Bowl. I think that's pretty much how that's going to go. I just think that's pretty much how that's going to go. I don't know.
All right, so
I mean, when Randy Moss was in New England, was there another? I mean, he threw for 5,000 yards there. Was there another outside receiver that did what Randy Moss did, or was it Randy Moss?
It was just Randy Moss, but I'm just like, man, I'm just trying.
Okay.
Look, Mark, I'm just trying to figure it out, man. I'm trying to throw him a bone here, man. I'm trying to, man. It's not working. Look, man, I don't know what he's thinking, but I tell you what. Here's a situation. Anytime I've ever done this, I've had two guys, whether it's two wide receivers or two running backs on the same team. The problem comes with this: one guy eats, the other one doesn't.
Now Shawn Williams is back up.
I had to go with Josh Allen. Once again, if I couldn't get what I was looking for position-wise, I was just going to take a stud. That was my game plan. I think by round 4, you could tell that is exactly what my game plan was, and that's what I was doing.
Yeah, and I understood Josh Allen was a great pick. I took Kyler Murray, a similar thought process. I wanted a stud quarterback, so therefore I took Kyler Murray because I wanted to get in on that running touchdown game. And with Chase Edmonds being the starting running back for Arizona, I know he's not running the ball in. So
they're not even throwing it to him near the goal. Like, nobody's touching the ball near the goal line. So
I was like, well, Kyler Murray still has the best chances for that. And so I wanted a good piece of that offense. And again, just to reiterate, Tobias, man, you're my guy. It's just like, I don't have a problem with Chris Godwin or Mike Evans. I just have a problem with them being back-to-back picks for the same team. Like, you can only believe in one of them. You can't believe in both of them to do what a wide receiver 1 and a wide receiver 2 is supposed to do.
Look, I swear, it is what it is, man. He believes in the Bucs, Mark, and that's what matters.
Right.
I think the Bucs this year is going to be what the Cowboys was last year.
I'm just like that. Like, I'm just saying, like, there's bona fide number ones that you're leaving out there. Like, So you don't have a problem with Kyler Murray. Like, who has a problem with Kyler Murray?
No, okay, we want to talk about the Kyler Murray. That's a good pick if you're going to take a quarterback in this round, which me and you, Mark, I think we both believe like fourth round is early because I feel like quarterbacks should be drafted in the fifth round. So if you're going to go early, you have to take one of the top tier guys, and he is one of them.
I just knew for a fact he wasn't going to be there on a comeback. And,
absolutely not.
And on the comeback, I was like, if I don't take Kyler Murray here, because I was considering taking Deontay Johnson here, and I was like, well, if I don't take Kyler Murray here, then I have to take Aaron Rodgers for the double up with Devontae Adams. And I wasn't sure how confident I was that Aaron Rodgers was going to be there on the coming back around. And honestly, like, even though Aaron Rodgers was the MVP last year, I just didn't feel comfortable taking Aaron Rodgers over Kyler Murray. So I took Kyler Murray.
Yeah, like Aaron Rodgers was on my mind as well, but I liked what Josh Allen does on the ground.
Right. I think that's mostly
the separation.
Yeah, and I think that's mostly what it is for me as well, is that Aaron Rodgers isn't getting it done on the ground anymore. Meanwhile, Kyler Murray will. So, like, I like the idea of the opportunity for those rushing touchdowns and rushing yard points. So, Deontay Johnson was taken by Ricky. I don't have a problem with Deontay Johnson being taken here. He is definitely their number one receiver. They are locked in, even though, in my opinion, Chase Claypool is a better receiver than him. That still doesn't change the way that the Steelers' hierarchy works. And their hierarchy is definitely a seniority type of thing. It doesn't work off your skill level. It works off how long you've been there.
In Deontay Johnson, 144 targets last year.
Yes.
He only got 88 catches out of that, but that doesn't matter. No matter what, you want the guy that's going to get the targets. Okay. Right. It usually ends up being the guy with the most catches. So, I mean, what he does with those this year, we'll see. I expect him to do more with it this year, only because I expect more out of Claypool. I expect they'll use Claypool a little bit more. They're going to have more plays drawn up for him and everything. I don't think Claypool will be featured more in the offense than Deontay Johnson, and that's what matters. He's going to have a little bit of a distraction, which means he's going to have a little bit more space to work with, a little bit less attention on him. Deontay Johnson should do more with his targets this year. But I at a fourth round, to get the number one, to get a guy that's getting 144 targets, that's a good pick.
Listen, bro, you go ahead and deliver this, because I don't know what to say.
Look, man, I'm not going to deliver nothing too hard. I'm not going to all hard on it. This is what I'm going to say.
You going to give her the big brother treatment? Okay.
Oh no, I'm just going to talk to her like I would talk to anybody else. You took Patrick Mahomes' first mistake, trickle down effect. You got DK Metcalf. Terry McLaurin comes like right after that. So if you just look at those first three picks, you're like, well, those aren't bad picks. It's bad because of where you end up having to take them. And then when you get to number 4 at Robert Tonyan, here lies the problem. Robert Tonyan is not. There's going to be games where he eats. There's going to be games where he doesn't. He ate more than he usually would last year, only because of all the injuries to the wide receivers. I don't know if people remember, but they were down a running back. They were down Devontae Adams, and then they were down another receiver. They were down 3 receivers, or 2 receivers and a running back when Robert Tonyan was eating. Yeah, that's what happened. So now, with a full roster, I don't expect them to eat. Aaron Rodgers don't like tight ends. Like that's just what it is for me. So like, I wouldn't have a problem with her taking a tight end at this place, but it's the tight end that you took. Mark, I told you what I thought. 4 guys. Kyle Pitts, Darren Waller, you know what I'm saying? George Kittle, and Travis Kelce. If they're not named those, you should not be taking a tight end in the 4th round. Simple as that. That's just a horrible pick to me. You could have gotten. I don't even care what you could have gotten. Whatever it was going to be better than Robert Tonyan.
Yeah, Robert Tonyan here. He came in at in the top 250. I was just looking on the list here. He's at pick number 5. The list of people that are available above him is long. It's very long.
Look. You know what? Forget about that. There's only one tight end I had on my list of names outside of those 4, which was a guy that you could get in a later round. His name was Jonnu Smith. In the Patriots offense, he's gonna see those targets and he will be used.
Mark Andrews is still available.
I don't care about Mark Andrews, but we're gonna talk about that because that pick came up soon. So now that I'm done talking about Robert Tonyan, let's get moving. But Robert Tonyan is not the guy. No. Not in round 4. Not in round 4, bro.
Not nowhere near it.
He's round 10. He's round 9 and 10. Like I think there's some names out. Oh, Robert Tonyan. Yeah, no.
All right. So moving on to Darius. Darius picked up Josh Jacobs. You and I had an earlier conversation. I like Josh Jacobs a lot. The Raiders' offensive line should be actually healthy this year. Last year, they lost their left tackle and a guard. The left tackle left in game. They lost him in game 1, and I think the guard was by game 5. Josh Jacobs still in having a conversation with Ricky earlier. Josh Jacobs was 29th in yards before contact last year and still managed over 1,000 yards on the season. Thanks to some big games, one against a highly touted defense in Cleveland. Josh Jacobs in the year before, in 2019, when he was behind a healthy offensive line, he averaged 4.8 yards a carry. So I think he could get back to that. The only issue that I would have with this pick is the fact that they added Kenyon Drake to this team. It's not that Kenyon Drake is necessarily great, but he is adequate. In them adding Kenyon Drake, it just scares me for it seems like that they may be looking to go into a little bit more of a timeshare. I don't think Kenyon Drake was just added as a backup.
Yeah, I won't even say, and I thought about it for a minute. I didn't want to say like a timeshare, but I think they're going to go into a where they're going to spell,
right?
Josh Jacobs at times to keep him rested and healthy for the 4th quarters. They're gonna bring Kenyon Drake in there to do that from time to time, and that's what I'm expecting. They're gonna want to feed Josh Jacobs in the 4th quarter, and in their mind, in order to do that and make sure he's still going at that time, they're gonna have to give him some rest. So
yes. All right. So next up is Rodney in round 4. And here he takes Aaron Rodgers. Him taking Aaron Rodgers in the 4th, I don't have a problem with it. He was the MVP just last season. And this being his last year in Green Bay, I think that he is going to look to show out.
He is going to look to show out.
So that pick made me feel so much better about taking Kyler Murray. It let me know that I did the right thing there.
Yeah.
And so next to Charles went Cooper Kupp. Excellent pick, seeing how this is your first wide receiver. And then there was Miles Sanders and Julio Jones.
Homer pick.
Which one?
Go ahead. Nah, go ahead. That's Troy with the homer pick. You know what I'm saying?
Miles Sanders. I do not like the Miles Sanders pick at all. But I also don't like Miles Sanders. So
I see. I like Miles Sanders. I just don't trust.
What's there to like, Sean?
You don't like him? You don't think he has a decent ability to catch outside of the backfield?
He has no ability to catch outside the backfield. What are you talking about? Have you seen his drops?
Look,
have you seen his drops?
Look,
there's a highlight reel of just drops.
What I've seen is when he catches the ball outside. When he catches the ball, he does something with it afterwards. That's what
he does something with it.
Look, Mark. Look, man. I feel like you too close to the situation.
No. I'm the perfect amount of closeness.
Miles Sanders, that's a homer pick, but I think did he need a running back at that time? He needed.
Yes, he did.
Back. So I, you know what I'm saying? I will allow it.
I would have took Trey Sermon, but okay.
Julio Jones, you say he took Julio Jones on the back end. I think these are two bad picks back to back, Mark. You can't have a back to back and take these two guys. Now that I'm looking at it, you can't have a back to back and take Miles Sanders and Julio Jones. Julio Jones has too many question marks injury wise. We don't know what the hell is going to happen with the offense with Philly. Miles Sanders is not a guy that I would have taken a good wide receiver at that spot rather than take Miles Sanders. And I'll be honest with you, like Julio Jones ain't that guy that I would take. Like the Julio Jones pick ain't as bad if he takes a wide receiver before him.
You know what's crazy?
Yeah,
the Julio Jones. You're right. As your second receiver, the Julio Jones pick is kind of bad. I wonder why he didn't take Robert Woods or DJ Moore.
To me, it looked like he was chasing the name of Julio Jones. Look, that's an offense where they already have a number one receiver.
You saying Troy is a clout chaser? That's wild, bro.
Clout. I don't know what he's chasing, but it ain't a ring right now. Look, Julio Jones is going to be. He's not healthy. They talk about him not being healthy for weeks on end, right? And then he's going to be in an offense where they're going to run the ball more than any other team in the league outside of the Browns. Then, like I said, they're not throwing the ball that much. They already have a number one receiver. What are you doing? What do you think is going to happen with Julio Jones's numbers here? Julio Jones, it would all be worth it if Julio Jones was a red zone target. Julio Jones has never been a red zone target in his entire career. He's never been that guy. If he has a year where he gets you 10 touchdowns, double-digit touchdowns, it's a great year, okay? So what do you think that's going to look like when Julio Jones doesn't get you 1,000 yards?
Hey,
what do you think it's going to look like when Julio Jones barely gets you 1,000 yards? This is not a situation that I want to draft Julio Jones in. Miles Sanders and Julio Jones, those are bad back-to-back, Mark. Sorry, I had to say it. These are horrible picks back-to-back.
Okay.
You can't do that if you got the first overall pick.
No, I don't think you can. Charles seems to have gotten stuck here at this pick. He is down to the 45-second mark. Let's see what pick he ended up going with. And that was Dak Prescott. When did he? Okay, took it all the way down to the 37. He takes Dak Prescott here. I think Dak would have been there in like the 7th, but if you believe in him and you believe he's going to take the 5th, you think he would? Right now's the time.
Now's the time. Coach is still in our league.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Coach would have taken Dak Prescott.
That's true. That's true.
That Dak would have still been on the board when he was looking for him.
That's true.
That is facts.
That is true.
Dak wouldn't have been there.
So, yeah, I mean, Dak.
If you believe in what you saw last year from Dak, if he comes to any semblance, even just 80% of what you saw last year, this is a decent pick.
Yeah.
This is a decent pick at this spot.
Okay, next, Robert Woods is taken. We believe in Robert Woods, so
only because the Rams believe in him, but that's besides the point. So Robert Woods, that's a good pick,
right? Like I said, the plays are drawn up for him, and he gets high usage, so it makes sense. Then comes Darrell Henderson at pick number 5. Let's see. I don't think I guess this pick is just not what I would have done. That's all I can really say about it. It's just not what I would have done. I don't know if I necessarily have a problem with it. It's just not something I would have done here. How about you?
So about Henderson?
Yes, Henderson.
Considering who is out there for running backs. Like, see, this is my whole thing going to the draft, man. I knew this is what it was going to look like. I wasn't going to be happy with nobody outside of the first 2 rounds. I already knew it. I knew it. And then it seemed like the first 2 rounds, everybody was just like, I'm going running back all through the first round. I knew this was going to happen. So, like, these situations that we're talking about with these guys picking these running backs in these spots, this is exactly what I was trying to avoid. I did not want to be that person to reach for a guy like this or reach for anybody and instead of taking a stud. So this is the thing. At this point in time, it's a really questionable pick because it's not too questionable. He has Josh Jacobs, he has Derrick Henry at this time, he has Keenan Allen, and he has DeAndre Hopkins at this time.
Mm-hmm.
So Henderson at the 5th round, I feel like maybe he could have gotten a wide receiver. To me, it's what he feels is more important. He obviously feels that the running back position is very important, and maybe he is concerned about Josh Jacobs' situation, and maybe that's why he took Henderson. I don't know, Mark, but he wanted to have 3 running backs, 3 somewhat solid running backs, and this is the way he went about it. Me personally, in a PPR league, I'm going to take 3 wide receivers instead of 3 running backs. It just seems like maybe his choice in a strategy, but I'm not going to knock him too bad for this one. This is where he wanted to go. He wanted to go running back for a flex or a backup position. So,
right. Now with this pick with Sharice, I'm assuming this was a auto pick but I found it a little bit.
It's gonna be crazy if you find out she picked all of these people. You keep saying auto pick, bro. Like, come on.
Bro, no. Some of them I know for a fact they aren't. But
go ahead.
but Kareem Hunt, who is the second half of a timeshare, as your first running back, it's that's a little odd if that's what you picked. But if you picked it off a name, then I understand.
This is the problem with Kareem Hunt. He's going to be sharing the ball on the ground and through the air. He's going to be sharing the ball on the ground and through the air. If he was the only person catching, and he was in this big of a timeshare, then that would make it all the worthwhile. Especially considering that when it comes to goal line touches, Nick Chubb is going to get those. So the only way to counterbalance that is if he's getting all the catches, but he's not. So, but at this time, Mark, what are you going to do? What are you going to do but pick Kareem Hunt? I tell you one thing, I would have taken Kareem Hunt over Henderson. That's just how I feel about it.
I guess. I think Kareem Hunt is a better running back, but I do not think Kareem Hunt has better opportunities than Darrell Henderson.
When I look at situations like this, I'm going to go with the guy that has the playmaker abilities. I think that Kareem Hunt has the capability of making more out of his opportunity. And see, this is where you and I there's a difference in philosophy here, because I would take Darrell Henderson based on opportunity, because Kareem Hunt can have all the talent in the world, and if you don't have the opportunity, it doesn't matter. Like Philip Lindsay is more talented than several guys that are out there, but we know that he's not going to get the opportunity. Yeah, so it doesn't matter. Well, what I'm saying, I guess the way I see it is this: if you are going to be taking a running back in the 5th round as your first running back, and these are your choices, and your team is currently constructed the way it is, you need more boom than high floor. You have to.
Okay.
You have to.
We had a bit of a running back run here because starting from Darius, it went Kareem Hunt, then Damian Harris to Ricky, DeAndre Swift to Benny, which was an auto pick, and Myles Gaskins to me, Mark, myself. Damian Harris, I don't know if Ricky did that on purpose.
He did. That was somebody he was looking at.
But yeah, Damian Harris, no Sony Michel, a little less mouths to feed in the backfield. So makes sense.
And from what I saw from Damian Harris, he's a great running back. And he's a guy that you can give the ball to 20 plus times. Okay.
But so, do you think that he's going to get it 20 plus times? Like, I've only ever seen one runner do that in New England, and that was, LeGarrette Blount.
Well, Damian Harris had multiple games where he had 20 plus last year. Now, I don't know if that was because of Cam Newton. I don't know why, but I'm just saying that he did get those touches. So I feel like they're comfortable with giving him that. Now, you already know as well as I do, even when LeGarrette Blount was there, it wasn't every game that he was getting those touches. It's, everything is about game plan. Everything is about their opponent.
Yeah, well, except for that one season, and I think that was largely because everybody was hurt. But but you get what I'm saying. He had over 300 carries.
It's going to be game by game. But since he's, as of recent times, the Patriots have been more focused on running the ball more. If you look at the Super Bowl that they won, where they not the Super Bowl that they won, the Super Bowl that they lost when they beat the Chiefs in the AFC Championship and they lost to the Eagles, they were running a lot that year. I feel like there's been more of an emphasis on running since that season. So with a rookie quarterback, I do expect Damian Harris to get these touches. Now, but like I said, it's the Patriots, man. It's always going to be a roll of the dice when it comes to running backs, and that's why, I wouldn't have taken them here, but I have no problems with anybody taking them here.
Understood.
Yeah.
DeAndre Swift, like I said, went to Benny, which is it was a computer pick. I don't I would just avoid DeAndre Swift, period, because of his injury proneness.
And then Jamal Williams is there. And Jamal Williams, I think, I'm not going to say just as good as him. I don't think he's as shifty, but Jamal Williams is one of the best backup running backs in the league. So you can expect that also to be a timeshare.
Right.
So, yeah, Myles Gaskin. Me personally, I don't like this pick, but I'm looking at who's out here, and at this point in time, most people are taking flyers. You don't know what you're getting here. Myles Gaskin.
I know what I'm getting there.
Okay, and then me taking Mike Davis.
Yeah,
like I told you, he was my guy that I was planning on getting as my second running back, but at this point, I really thought there was going to be more guys. And what happened? A running back run happens right before I picked my running back. So that fucked up that right there. But I absolutely, it was getting to the point to where I was going to get the second guy in the timeshare. So I absolutely had to take Mike Davis at this point. I don't think Mike Davis is a 5th round running back, but that's where I took him. Had to. He wasn't going to be there round 6, so I took Mike Davis. But the one thing is, he is the starter. He is a clear starter. There is nobody threatening his job. If he plays horrible, he plays horrible, and he's still going to be the guy. But that's what I'm afraid of. I'm afraid of Atlanta playing from behind like they always do, and him not being able to see the ball. So I'm hoping that they do utilize him in the passing game, because he is capable.
No, he's quite capable. It's just,
and running backs don't do good in Atlanta for a reason.
Yeah,
last time a running back did good in Atlanta, Kyle Shanahan was the offensive coordinator.
Oh yeah, but new coach and all that jazz. So
we'll see. But I'm that was a lead back that was available, and I took him.
Mike Davis. Oh, those picks came in quick within 30 seconds because you have Mike Davis, Mark Andrews. This is where Tobias got a piece of his team, and he got Mark Andrews.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to talk about, Mark Andrews. I said I was going to come back to him when it happened. So Mark Andrews, there's a lot of mouths to feed. There's a lot of mouths to feed in Baltimore now, where there weren't mouths to feed.
A lot?
There's more mouths to feed.
A lot?
Okay? They have Rashad Bateman.
Okay.
Who they drafted. They have Sammy Watkins now. Everybody that they've added to the team is better than the receivers that they have on the team.
Yes.
Yes.
And
so what
both of them are hurt.
That's great. I saw what I want you to tell me what Mark Andrews did last year.
He played. I didn't have him, but I could tell you for a fact that he was probably the number 3 or 4 tight end on the.
He wasn't. I know personally because I had him.
Okay. What was he? What was his number?
Oh, I don't know what his number.
If you going to tell me he wasn't, then you need to tell me what it was.
Well, I'm going to tell you what his numbers were. 700 yards catching, 58 receptions.
Okay.
I think he was right around the middle of the pack with Hawkinson and Higbee and those guys. So that's where he was. With that said, that's what he did last year with no wide receiver competition. I feel like Mark Andrews' usage dropped due to the play calling.
Yes, it did.
And now that they went and got receivers, I don't foresee them going back to the play calling of old. What they've been trying to do year by year is open up the playbook a little bit more and more for Lamar Jackson. We talked about this last year, Mark. They want Lamar Jackson. They are trying to help Lamar Jackson prove to the world that he is a throwing quarterback. That's their whole MO right now. That's what they did last year. That's why they had Lamar Jackson throwing more than running. In times where he should have been running, he wasn't taking off. I'm telling you right now.
All right, well, listen.
He's going to be throwing to these guys. Now, if he was willing to throw to freaking Marquise Brown a million times, I just don't see that with this roster that that's going to change and it's going to refer back to the old ways of him throwing to Mark Andrews a million times. Mark Andrews just ain't going to get the targets, man.
All right.
That's what I believe.
Now, I'm just going to pull this up, though. Just like last year was not the great year for the Ravens, period. But last year, like, for instance, Mark Andrews, this was a bit of a downturn also due in part because of himself. September 28th against Kansas City, he had 3 receptions on 8 targets. 8 targets. And only 22 yards. And he fumbled. So those 2 points that he would have had got erased by the fumble. Then you have he has 9 targets on November 15th, 6 targets, 9 targets on October 11th. Like his targets were there. Now, what he did with the opportunities is different, but his targets were there.
Well, I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't even know. Like, I don't think all of those targets not being caught was all on him too.
No, it may not have been. It may not have been because the offense was in disarray very early.
But what I'm trying to say, Mark, is I don't think the team is putting Mark Andrews in the best position to prosper. I don't think that the game plan is to put Mark Andrews in that position. They are really trying to be a wide receiver-centric offense at this point, and that's what my fear is. Like he got all those targets last year because he had Marquise Brown as a number 1 wide receiver.
Right.
I just don't think that will be the case this year. And I don't think he's going to play as bad as he did last year. So I think his numbers will go up, but I don't think his numbers will be good enough for me to take him that early.
All right. Raheem Mostert or Russell Wilson was taken. Russell Wilson went to Cedric, and Raheem Mostert went to Coach. You have any issues with this?
Neither. Don't have any issues with either one of those. For where it's at, these are good picks. Especially, I mean, Mostert obviously is not his first running back, and that's what matters. Because Mostert is probably going to get hurt like all the Niners running backs do.